addressing a recent rash of jewelry store robberies.
Tonight, police officers hit the malls in an effort to put shoppers and employees at ease. Good evening. Smash and grab robberies at jewelry stores have been on the rise, particularly in York Region. Today,
York Regional Police provided an update on their response to the crime. CTV's Rahim Ladani joins us live from Hillcrest Mall in Richmond Hill with the story. Rahim.
Michelle and Nathan, good evening. We have certainly seen more videos of jewelry store robberies, thanks in part to social media. But York Regional Police tell me the numbers also show that there has been an increase, including one that happened here at Hillcrest Mall earlier this month. And YRP say that it's because of community feedback that they've been here throughout the day, stepping up their presence. With holiday shopping in full swing, malls are busy, shelves are stocked, and jewelry has proven to be a prime target for thieves. In York Region, there have been 13 reported jewelry store robberies this year, compared to 7 in 2023.
It's too easy for them to do that. They took about 5 to 8 minutes.
Richard Chen was working at Hillcrest Mall in Richmond Hill when a daytime robbery was captured on camera 2 weeks ago. A group of suspects smashed the display cases at People's Jewelry Store. An employee was assaulted. 4 suspects fled with the stolen merchandise and still have not been caught.
My wife was here. She asked me to run. I feel maybe they didn't have gun. So I take a look at them. They just grab the things easily, too easy, you know. So I think the police should do something.
Along with the investigation, York Regional Police have activated the Traumatic Incident Response Protocol. It means having a visible presence at malls and engaging with shoppers to gauge their feelings of safety.
Well, you need to communicate and make people aware of what they can do. I'm not comfortable about it because it happens too many times, and then the one at Markville Mall was a repeat.
CF Markville was also the target of a smash and grab robbery earlier this month. Cell phone videos show at least 10 people breaking glass cases with hammers to steal jewelry. In that incident, 6 suspects have been arrested.
These thieves are coming in with the explicit purpose of getting in and getting out. They're taking the precautions of wearing masks, of wearing gloves, of having getaway drivers and lookouts posted at exits nearby. So the last thing they want to do is get caught, which means they're not looking to have an interaction with you.
Police say shoppers are generally not the target, and malls are a safe place to enjoy. But there are steps people can take to protect themselves.
If you've got lots of parcels that you've purchased, consolidate, get them all into one bag. Don't advertise that you've got a good lot of product on you. If you're going to be putting them in the car, make sure that they're not visible.
Police will also be at Markville Shopping Centre beginning Wednesday. I also asked police about the role shoppers could play if they are witness to one of these robberies, and police were very forthcoming. They said, look, this cell phone video that they've been getting from the recent robberies, it is very valuable evidence. However, that's not to be mistaken that they want the public to put themselves in harm's way. They say the best thing people can do is to be the best witness they can be without putting themselves in harm's way and making sure that they remain safe. Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladani. Michelle, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Rahim. And this comes just a day after a daytime robbery at Fairview Mall in Toronto. Witness video shows the suspects running out of a jewelry store. 6 males armed with hammers smashed glass and display cabinets in the store and made off with a large quantity of jewelry. They all got into a vehicle which was involved in a crash after exiting the mall parking lot.
Still ahead, more pressure mounts on the Prime Minister to step down. We'll look at another day of political drama on Parliament Hill.
We turn to new developments in the case of a murdered Markham realtor.
The body of Khugiani Anita Mui was found in August. Today, investigators announced 2 arrests while the search for her killer continues. CTV Sean Leathong joins us live with more details. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, the arrests came in late November and early December, and this comes after 3 separate arrests back in August, with police saying that there are connections between all those who have been apprehended. Now, 56-year-old Anita Mui was reported missing by her family back on August 9th. 3 days later, the OPP found burned human remains in Parry Sound. The remains were later identified as Mui. 24-year-old Abid Khugiani and 19-year-old Oscar Peidi are facing numerous charges in connection with Mui's death. They include accessory after the fact to murder and indignity to a human body. Meanwhile, police also continue to search for 47-year-old Marco Hu. He's wanted on a Canada-wide warrant for first-degree murder, although it's believed that he's fled to Hong Kong. Earlier, we spoke with Constable James Dixon of York Regional Police.
We have been putting boots to the ground every day. Investigators have been going out and have been conducting all the interviews, completing all the search warrants that they had done previously, going through electronic devices. And it's really been a lot of man hours that have been put in that have led to us being able to identify additional suspects.
Still trying to determine a motive. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. Nathan and Michelle, I'll send it back to you.
We're live over a major downtown intersection and likely the source of many traffic headaches today. King and Spadina closed since this morning after a garbage truck struck overhead TTC wires. CTV's Mike Walker is down on the ground to bring us the latest. And Mike, it sounds like the repairs are going to take some time.
That's right. The TTC says the damage to the streetcar infrastructure is so significant that the intersection will likely be closed for the rest of the week in order to complete the repairs. A garbage truck with its loader in a bin race taking out several overhead streetcar wires at the King and Spadina intersection.
I seen the truck going through the lights and all the wires coming off.
Nash Jones was just starting work at a nearby grocery store shortly after 8 this morning when he says the southbound truck got tangled in the live wires, sending them crashing to the ground. Toronto police say no one was injured.
I just seen the sparks. It's like kind of like watching fireworks, really. It could have been really bad because there was 3 cars just about to cross the intersection when it happened.
Police are still investigating the circumstances that led to this.
Yeah, I feel like that would be kind of hard to miss. Yeah, driving with the bin up, like you should probably know that it's up or not.
The incident shutting down the busy intersection for hours, 5 streetcar routes impacted and are diverting around the area, resulting in a longer commute. Some riders caught by surprise.
We just were trying to get to this area and then we were waiting for the streetcar and it just kept turning off the street and we didn't know what was happening. I think we were waiting maybe 20 minutes or so.
TTC engineers repairing the salvageable wires and installing new ones. The transit agency says it must ensure breakers and other power systems are operational before testing the system to ensure it's safe for use.
And it's going to be a lot of work. We're going to have crews in there around the clock for the next probably 2 or 3 days, at least through the end of the week, we're thinking. And they're going to be working in some very unforgiving conditions tomorrow, it seems like. But they're going to be out there working hard to get this done. We've redirected all of the available streetcar infrastructure folks to do this work.
At this point, there's no timeline for when the intersection will reopen.
Now, the TTC says that affected streetcar routes will continue to be diverted and they'll be supplementing with bus service where possible. As for the garbage truck driver involved in this, Toronto police tell us no charges have yet been laid. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Also tonight, letters and packages on the move once again. Canada Post employees back at work, but is it business as usual? Efforts to address the backlog with Christmas just over a week away.
And you know, it's just a few days away, winter, and while we experienced another mild day today, the freezing temps will return in time to welcome the season. As for right now, cloudy and mild this evening. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. What are you seeing, Jess?
We get a break, Michelle, from the really cold air that we had over the weekend. We've kind of begun this week relatively mild, albeit overcast. Into the day tomorrow, things start off not too bad, but we're watching for a dose of wintry weather, and then after that, a significant cool down thanks to it ushering in some much colder air. But right now, just some cloud cover out there, making for a hopefully easy evening to get out and at least enjoy the mild kind of break that we're seeing. Right now, we're sitting for the most part around 1 to maybe 5 degrees is kind of our window in southern Ontario. As we head through the overnight, staying above seasonal, we start off not too bad tomorrow, and then things get a little shaky. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast as we head into what is going to be a busy week ahead and weekend. But for now, I'll send things back over to Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Jess. Canada Post trucks were back on the road today.
Workers forced to return following a month-long strike. Question is, will holiday mail arrive in time for Christmas?
All right, CTV's Beth McDonnell joins us live with the story. Beth.
Nathan, I visited 3 Canada Post locations today. There weren't any lines of people with letters or parcels, but I did find some happy customers hoping their mail arrives by Christmas. Back on the job with a truckload of parcels, this Canada Post employee is feeling good about being back at work. How's the package load today?
Oh, it's pretty heavy.
With just 7 days until Christmas, the big question now is, will they arrive in time? He's mailing a present for his mom.
She's in Windsor, and I would love to drive it down there, but that's usually a 6-hour drive with traffic. So I would really love to get it to her by Christmas.
She's been hoping the strike would end to send nieces and nephews gifts out east and out west.
I don't want them not to have something under the tree from me. It's hard enough to be connected when they're so far away.
The Canada Post strike dragged for over a month. This weekend, the Canada Labour Relations Board ruled workers back, extending their current contract for another 5 months.
People are feeling a little bit down. They feel betrayed by the government.
Because of the backlog, Canada Post says people should expect delays for the remainder of the year and into 2025. But Toronto's local Cup W president says the Christmas letter and parcel season is not lost.
Put in your mail. You'll be amazed how fast we get back to delivering the parcels.
Looming too is the future of Canada Post. Their operations out of date and costly, says this business professor.
They lost $748 million in 2023. This is 6-7 years of losses they've gone through. The world's changed, and most of us get parcels from UPS. Amazon sends us things.
And while sending the annual Christmas card tradition may be waning, it still matters to many.
I got the Christmas stamps. I got 36. Mostly in Canada. I usually send a few overseas, but I'm not sure if I'm going to even try this year because it's going to get there so much later. The chance to update friends and family the old-fashioned way renewed now that Canada Post can deliver. There are 5 business days left until Christmas. I spoke with one clerk who explained that Canada Post does have express delivery options for letters and parcels that would arrive in 2 to 3 business days. But she also said that because of the backlog, there could be delays. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Canada's annual inflation rate dropped a bit in November, coming in a touch below the Bank of Canada's 2% target. The Consumer Price Index report says inflation edged lower to 1.9% from 2% in October. Prices for travel tours and mortgage interest costs were the main contributors to the slowdown. Grocery prices rose 2.6% on an annual basis in November. Gas prices fell 0.5%, and prices for rent accelerated last month by 7.7% on a yearly basis. When will the Prime Minister respond, and what will he say?
Justin Trudeau is believed to be taking some time to reflect after his finance minister's sudden resignation that has sparked renewed calls for him to step down. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
Behind closed doors, the Prime Minister tried to calm the chaos triggered by his finance minister's bombshell resignation. Justin Trudeau says he'll consider his next move over the holidays, not soon enough for some.
The Prime Minister is living in a false reality. He's delusional if he thinks we can continue like this.
About 50 Liberal MPs are now calling for Trudeau to step down. That's 1/3 of the caucus. Making matters worse, the Liberals were decimated in a by-election last night.
He's at -38. We lost the BC by-election by 50 points yesterday. We lost St. Paul's. We lost LaSalle. And I think all of these are clear indicators that the Liberal Party will do far better in another election with a different leader. Canadians want a change.
Chrystia Freeland showed up at the urgent meeting and was applauded. She hugged the Prime Minister before she left. It was an olive branch that was sharply different than her resignation letter. She criticized Trudeau for spending on political gimmicks and not putting money in reserve to fight Donald Trump's threat of 25% tariffs. Freeland negotiated the last free trade deal with the U.S. under the previous Trump administration. On social media, the president-elect celebrated her exit, called Freeland's behavior toxic, and said that she will not be missed. The opposition says all this shows that the Prime Minister needs to prove he has a mandate to lead the country.
The only way for him to get that is to call for an election as soon as possible, because it would be absolutely irresponsible from him to maintain Canada in such an unstable situation.
The NDP has called for Trudeau to resign, but not for an election. The Conservatives are trying to taunt Jagmeet Singh into pulling his support.
Put his votes where his words are to trigger an election, to join with me in signaling non-confidence to bring down this government.
This is the last day of official parliamentary work. 9 cabinet ministers resigned in 2024. When the House resumes in January, it's possible the Prime Minister may not return. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meanwhile, the Conservatives are calling on Parliament to hold 2 weeks of hearings in January on Canada-U.S. trade. They want the International Trade Committee to hear from ministers, border agencies, the RCMP, and other officials before Trump returns to the White House. The Tories say they have no faith in the Liberals to deal with the president-elect's threat to impose 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods.
The Canadian government has said it will take steps to tighten the border to appease Trump and hopefully avoid those tariffs. Today, it outlines some of the measures it plans to take.
We will enhance and expand information and intelligence sharing between federal, provincial, territorial, and Indigenous authorities. Throughout, there will be a sharp focus on fentanyl, human smuggling, and organized transnational crime at our borders.
Ottawa has pledged to spend $1.3 billion on border security and monitoring. Today, Canadian officials said the RCMP will create a new aerial intelligence task force. It will provide round-the-clock surveillance of the border using helicopters, drones, and towers. Canada will also propose a North American joint strike force to target organized crime groups and provide new technology and resources to Canada's border agency to seek out fentanyl. The public safety minister says he has discussed parts of the plan with American officials and is optimistic about its reception. At Toronto City Hall, municipal officials are keeping a close eye on the political turmoil in Ottawa.
The mayor and councillors all aware federal dollars for housing and transit could change with the government. CTV's Natalie Johnson reports.
In today's City Hall snapshot,
big smile.
It was all eyes on council.
Very, very nice.
But as those councillors got down to business in the chamber, the politics of Parliament Hill were playing out in the capital.
While the power struggle continues in Ottawa, every day's residents' need must come first.
Top of the list for Olivia Chow, more affordable housing. Council asked to approve financial incentives for developers to build affordable rentals, deferring development charges, property taxes, and other fees at a cost of nearly $500 million, as part of a bigger public builder housing plan that relies on hundreds of millions more from Ottawa.
We need to find a way to get market and not-for-profit solutions going forward. We need to find a way to get shovels in the ground and going cap in hand to the province and the federal government, of which we may very well see a change in government. That's not going to do it here in Toronto.
At this moment, I doubt whether the government in Ottawa is really focused on our need for housing money.
Toronto Transit, too, often beholden to federal funding for capital.
I mean, that's always a concern regarding the permanent transit fund. This is an important project, but I think we have to remember transit is nonpartisan.
The mayor making it clear today she wants the new federal finance minister to finalize the deal on the new Line 2 subway cars before February to ensure that the $750 million for the project pledged by Ottawa less than 3 weeks ago is signed, sealed, delivered.
Let's get all those things signed so that we can continue to move Toronto.
Look right here. Toronto City Council marking the midterm with this photo. 2 years until the next election here. Much less than that in Ottawa. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
2 employees have been charged following the death of a resident in their care at an assisted living facility in Oshawa. The 79-year-old died as a result of exposure to the elements. In April of last year, she was found on a bench without vital signs. The woman had left the facility the previous night and was not able to get back in because the doors were locked. Padmini Kasur and Danica Harrison have both been charged with criminal negligence causing death and failing to provide the necessaries of life to a person under their charge.
A new report from Queen's Park is raising concerns about the state of our schools.
It comes from Ontario's Financial Accountability Office, which found 8 of every 10 TDSB schools has fallen into disrepair. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the details.
Most of Ontario's 4,900 schools get a passing grade from the Financial Accountability Office. They're in good shape, but
37% were below a state of good repair, which means that these school buildings require repairs or should be replaced with a new school.
the problem most acute at the Toronto District School Board, where 84% of schools are below that good repair threshold. Getting all TDSB schools fixed up could cost an estimated $6.8 billion. Across the province,
The FAO estimates that it would cost a total of $31.4 billion over 10 years to keep all school buildings in a state of good repair and to build new schools to address permanent student capacity pressures,
far less than the government has budgeted.
which results in an estimated funding shortfall over 10 years of $12.7 billion.
The Minister of Education defends government spending, doubling funding to build and expand schools and cutting construction timelines in half, with 240 new schools going up.
This is an issue of choices and priorities, and this government has the wrong priorities.
The opposition calling for a colossal cash infusion.
Tripling at least what our existing funding is to cover those capital expenses right now.
Teachers say they and their students have been struggling in rundown spaces.
No amount of dedication can overcome classrooms that are freezing in the winter, unbearably hot in the spring and fall, too small to meet the growing needs of our inclusive classrooms, or without safe drinking water.
The FAO finds 1,500 schools are over capacity. The flip side is some 900 schools are using less than 60% of their space. School boards have been pleading with the government to end a 7-year moratorium on school closures. They say that's stretching their budgets thin. The TDSB chair renewed that call today, also asking for sustainable, predictable funding that truly reflects the cost of maintaining their facilities. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Multiple war crimes charges have been filed against a man accused of plotting a terrorist attack in Toronto. The RCMP says Ahmed El-Didi faces 4 charges, including murder, mutilation, and torture against a protected person in a non-international armed conflict. No further details were released. It is the first national security investigation where war crimes charges have been laid in Canada. El-Didi and his son Mustafa were arrested in Richmond Hill in July on 9 terrorism charges. Police allege the 2 men were in the advanced stages of planning a serious, violent attack in Toronto.
In the U.S., new charges have been filed against the man accused of killing the CEO of United Healthcare.
We are here to announce that Luigi Manon, the defendant, is charged with 1 count of murder in the first degree and 2 counts of murder in the second degree, including 1 count of murder in the second degree as an act of terrorism for the brazen, targeted, and premeditated shooting of Brian Thompson, who, as you know, was the CEO of United Healthcare.
Thompson was killed in Manhattan earlier this month in what officials say was an act intended to evoke terror. Luigi Manon was already charged with murder, but the terror allegation is new. A New York law allows prosecutors to charge crimes as acts of terrorism when they're intended to intimidate a civilian population or influence the policies of government.
Coming up on wrapping the final week of our Toy Mountain campaign, Andrea Case pays a visit to students who've collected impressive piles of toys at 2 schools. Their lesson in service to the community. Still ahead.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, the GST HST tax holiday is underway, but there are concerns some restaurants aren't passing on the savings. Friends who celebrated a birthday party at a restaurant on the weekend say they had to pay tax on their bill. All of that story, that's just ahead.
And after an above seasonal start to the week, things take a bit of a shift as we head in towards our Thursday and Friday, with temperatures going on the opposite end of the scale below seasonal. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long range forecast, and stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
The 2-month break from paying the HST on some items in Ontario took place over the weekend, but there remains some confusion over what's covered.
The tax holiday offers savings on children's clothing and toys, as well as restaurant meals, but some restaurants have still been charging the tax. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. A few viewers tell us that restaurants have still been collecting the taxes. One business told customers it had no knowledge of the tax holiday. But restaurants who collect tax over the next 2 months could get in trouble with Revenue Canada.
They caught me by a huge surprise. So at first, the waitress was saying that this is my first time hearing it.
Vicky Hoy of Unionville says she was at a fine dining restaurant with friends on the weekend for a birthday party. When the bill came, they were surprised to be charged the HST, even though the restaurant was not supposed to be collecting it.
The waitress was not aware of the program. And secondly, the hospitality manager didn't even bother to investigate and jumped to the conclusion so quickly.
The next day, they complained to the general manager of the restaurant, who agreed mistakes had been made. Hoy showed us a copy of her bill that does show her group was charged more than $40 HST, but we're not naming the restaurant. They apologized, said it was a mistake, refunded the taxes, and gave her a $75 gift card. Under the new GST HST tax holiday rules until February 15th, tax should not be charged on prepared foods, restaurant meals, some snacks, and alcoholic beverages.
It's a great idea, but it has been rolling out with confusion and frustration.
The Ontario Restaurant, Hotel and Motel Association says any restaurant that does collect tax over the next 2 months could be investigated by Revenue Canada.
If a business who doesn't comply and charge GST, HST, and it's discovered, you'll be investigated by CRA for non-compliance.
Restaurants Canada also told CTV News businesses should not charge GST, HST on qualifying goods and services. We advise restaurants to offer the GST and HST holiday. Hoy says she's satisfied now, but wanted to make sure that restaurants are following the tax policy.
They did try their best to make things right. So I appreciate that.
And there were complaints food delivery services like Uber Eats were still charging tax on food, but the company said customers will not be charged tax on groceries and restaurant orders. However, they'll still have to pay tax on delivery and service fees. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
So winter's just a few days away. How are things now?
Well, it's the roller coaster that has been this winter. Much like last year, we go from those really mild days, not quite record-breaking, but obviously above where we should be, to the exact opposite. And this weekend, if you have plans, you're going to need to layer because it is going to be absolutely freezing. Today, it was fine. Very middle of the road. Nothing too extreme. But as we head in towards our Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it gets colder and colder and colder. But today, it really wasn't bad, all things considered. A shot from the chopper earlier today. Cloudy out there, but really mild. And temperature-wise, yes, a bit of a westerly wind adding some freshness to the air, but it really wasn't as cold as it should be or it could be. So something to hold on to. We're looking at a really light westerly wind this evening, becoming southwesterly into the day tomorrow, but an incoming cold front will kind of cancel that out and drop some snow. For now, though, we're just cloudy out there sitting at 4 degrees. We should be at the freezing mark. And everybody, for the most part, central southern Ontario, comfortable. As we head into this evening, we'll sit at -1. We should be at -6. So this above seasonal trend carries us almost right through to the middle of the week before things start to change. Into the day tomorrow for our Wednesday, we'll sit at 3 degrees, which will help as we see a cold front come through, bringing some snow, likely a wet snow for us here in the city, maybe 2 centimeters, but this really is kind of a midday snow affair. So you'll get through your morning commute and your evening commute likely fairly dry. The bulk of it really is going to be, again, a cold front that isn't all that, intense, but it's meeting up with another system south of the border that will invigorate a little bit of extra moisture, dumping some rain towards Niagara, and for us here in the city, falling more as snow. Again, tonight, really not all that bad. Dry for your commute tomorrow. Again, this comes late morning. We're looking at light flurries again on the positive side, so likely a wet snow. And then as we head into the kind of late afternoon, early evening, the bulk of it is gone. So we are holding on to this kind of in that midday point. So if you are running errands, Say you're taking off early for the holidays, give yourself that extra time if you're traveling midday. Into Thursday, though, we'll see a little sunshine peeking through to help kind of brighten things up, but it doesn't warm things up as we finally have a seasonal day before we trend significantly cooler. Heading into the day tomorrow, again, we're still well above where we should be, or at least a couple of degrees. As we head into the evening, pretty close to that seasonal norm. Into Thursday, again, we're in that very seasonal range, and then we get into our Friday night, and that's when the switch really starts to flip and it gets cold. We drop down to -10. We'll see a more kind of northwesterly wind, and that -10 will feel closer to -15. And as we head into Saturday, the official start of the meteorological winter season, it is going to be absolutely freezing. That -8 feeling a lot colder than that. And the low right now at -14, likely feeling closer to that mid -20 range. Frostbite can happen very quickly. As we head in towards Sunday, a little more sunshine, absolutely no warmth, but at least we're holding on to some sunnier days. We'll switch gears, and it's our final week of the Toy Mountain campaign with donations flooding in from across the Greater Toronto area. CTV's Andrea Case visited 2 schools where students were hosting their own toy drives.
I can't believe it's almost over. Week 4, my friends here, Aaron, Darcy, we're back at the Toronto area Ford dealers. Aaron, tell us what's going on.
Week 4, the final week of the campaign. We're visiting a couple of more schools today. 2 more schools, our final schools, as part of the school toy drive program presented by Toronto area Ford dealers. We're so excited, and they've collected all of their toys, and they're going to present them to us as part of the CTV Toy Mountain campaign.
Okay, and so in previous years, a person would get the vehicle for a year, but this, you're going to own it outright.
This vehicle, we've always wanted to give the vehicle away as an outright ownership vehicle. So every year, our contest vehicle, the person wins the vehicle.
Do they have to pay taxes on it?
They don't pay taxes on it. We license it for them as well.
Wow. So it's a win-win. And of course, building a mountain of toys is an effort that we want to thank you all for helping us to build. We haven't done the cheer because we wanted to thank you for building a Toy Mountain. Thanks for having us. My name is Andrea Case. I'm from CTV News Toronto. It's amazing all the toys that you have here. Tell us why the school decided to take part in raising a mountain of toys.
Well, service learning is a very important part of what we do here at Walden as an Ivy school. And as part of that program, the children in grade 7 participated in this amazing initiative. The children know very well that they are lucky to have everything that they have, and there are some children who are not as fortunate as they are, so they know that it's a very important thing to do.
Was this a tough sell for the kids at all, or were they gung-ho and on board right away?
On board right away. It's student-led, so it's a great way for them to be engaged in a really meaningful project and to collaborate and to forge relationships with the community.
So when you see your kids doing something like this, and everyone out here in the lobby, they're out of class right now, we're going to get them back in class. How impressed are you?
Amazing. This has been a really great experience. This is our 2nd year, and our students will be talking about that, but absolutely an amazing opportunity for kids to take on leadership as well as giving back to the community.
Let's talk to some of the students here. Your name is?
Bristol.
Hi, Bristol. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Bristol, how did you get involved in Toy Mountain?
So during service learning, we were like thinking of putting on an event where we would collect many toys. It was really fun to get to see like all the community bring together and put this event on.
To me, it's really important to light up many kids' smiles, especially on such an important holiday such as Christmas, which is one of my favorite holidays.
What message do you have for kids out there?
I think that everyone should keep trying, even when times are difficult. I think you should try and persevere.
Because it was such a great experience that taught me a lot about leadership, and I just hope that all of the students in the school get a chance to experience that.
It was so amazing to see everyone less fortunate get the toys.
Since we're all so fortunate here, we really want to give back to our community, and we really want to make someone's Christmas maybe a little bit better.
Are you going to sing me a holiday song?
Now?
Yes.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
The very next day, you
gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special.
very impressive. They know the lyrics. And there's still time to donate if you want to give back to Toy Mountain. Drop off a new unwrapped toy at participating malls, one of the 23 Toronto area Ford dealers, or visit toymountain.ca and click Toronto to find a drop-off location near you. You can also text TOYS to 30333 to automatically donate $25.
Also tonight, getting the best medicine. A new study looks at the inappropriate use of antipsychotic drugs in long-term care homes. A new study using data from the Canadian Institute for Health Information shows a shockingly high number of long-term care residents are on antipsychotic medications.
As our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, researchers say many don't need to be on them.
The study by the Appropriate Use Coalition looks at the inappropriate use of antipsychotic medications in long-term care residents.
These common ones are like risperidone, Haldol is what the name people might have heard, clonazepine. These are common meds that are in this group of antipsychotics.
And Dr. Wendy Levinson says they are frequently used in patients with dementia, but no psychiatric illnesses.
They have a place in patients who have psychiatric disturbances, but they're commonly used in dementia when people have agitation or become a little bit anxious. And we know that they don't help in that situation, but they cause harm. Falls, fractures, there's even some effect on mortality.
The group Choosing Wisely Canada says pre-pandemic, Canada had been working on reducing inappropriate use of these drugs, going from 27% to about 20% of long-term care residents being prescribed antipsychotics without a diagnosis of psychosis.
And then they rose and they're back up at over 24.5%. So those are the numbers.
Some of the most common medications are quetiapine and aripiprazole. Levinson says a more appropriate way to handle dementia-related agitation is by modifying behavior.
Do they need someone with them because they're feeling confused, helping them to, feel more oriented? So a behavioral approach.
But she admits staffing shortages are already a common problem. What to do if you have concerns about your loved one?
It is always appropriate for family members to ask about any of the medications their loved one is on and ask the question, can we remove some of these?
Many seniors are on multiple medications, and reducing the number reduces chances of interactions and often results in better quality of life. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
After the break, preparing for takeoff, Pearson Airport ramps up for the holidays as travelers get set to take flight. Tips to speed up the process coming up. Airports are about to become very busy places in the coming days.
The holiday travel season is here, and CTV's John Musselman has tips on how to make sure your trip is a smooth one.
As the Christmas travel season is ready to take off, Pearson is ramping up its staff to handle the surge. And security officials want travelers to know there are things they can do to speed up the process.
A couple of the things we have here is your liquids, aerosols, and gels. Make sure that they're 100 milliliters containers or less, as well as they fit in a 1 liter resealable clear bag. Laptops, they all look the same here. So if you have kids, great activity, have them put stickers on it to make it noticeable, or put something that you would recognize in the bin with it.
And keep in mind, if you're traveling with Christmas gifts, do not wrap them beforehand.
No, they're not wrapped. I'll wrap them when we get there. We're going to our son in Colorado.
More than 2.7 million passengers are expected to pass through both terminals over the next 18 days. It's one of the busiest travel periods of the year.
We also have an app called the Mobile Passport Control app. Passengers are able to upload their documents before heading into U.S. CBP. There's the ArriveCan app, so for arriving passengers, they can upload their declaration up to 72 hours before their flight back to Toronto Pearson's.
Cannabis is now legal in Canada. It is still prohibited to carry it across borders. Make sure you leave your cannabis at home. If you do come back into Canada and you happen to have some cannabis, make sure you declare it to avoid getting in trouble.
Weather can also be a factor this time of year. It can mean travel delays, leaving Pearson if de-icing is needed. And it can mean traffic delays for passengers just getting to Pearson to make their flight.
We ended up checking in early. We just have a single carry-on baggage that we're taking.
everything, all the preparations that were necessary, everything has been done. So we are excited.
It's busy, but everything is very, very simple.
Passengers are advised to check the status of their flights before heading to the airport this holiday season. John Musselman, CTV News.
On the markets, look at this. The Canadian dollar dipped below 70 cents U.S. for the first time since March of 2020, changing hands at 69.86 cents U.S., down almost 1/3 of a cent. Western Canadian Select Oil ending at $56.23 a barrel, down $2.23. And the TSX Composite Index ending the day at 25,119.71, down just over 27 points.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The Toronto Raptors were looking to snap a 4-game losing streak, taking on the Chicago Bulls at home last night.
Raptors down by 3. RJ splits it double.
The Bulls jumped out to an early lead, but the Raps narrowed it to a 3-point difference at the half, and then this one came down to the wire with the Bulls winning by 1 point, 122-121. The Raptors are back in action Thursday against the Brooklyn Nets.
Disappointing news for fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Anthony Stolarz is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. The goalie will undergo knee surgery tomorrow after leaving Thursday's game. There's no structural damage, but Stolarz is dealing with discomfort. Also, forward Fraser Minton was sent down to the Marlies. The Leafs play tomorrow in Dallas.
To the soccer pitch, and FIFA has chosen its Players of the Year for 2024. Vinicius Jr. won in the men's category. The Brazilian star scored 24 goals in 39 appearances across all competitions and helped Real Madrid clinch the La Liga and Champions League double. Barcelona playmaker Aitana Bonmati is the winner of the Best Women's Player Award for the second straight year at FIFA's version of the Ballon d'Or prize.
Tonight, breaking down the financial turbulence from the plummeting loonie.
It's a concerning time, for sure.
As the dollar dips to a nearly 5-year low, a look at its steep impact on travel plans over the holidays. Later on CTV National News.
Let's check back in with Toy Mountain School Toy Drive program.
CTV's Andrea Case and the team made their way across 8 schools in the city where they built their own mountain of toys. For their last stop, they visited Lillian Public School, where students and staff are giving back by donating a toy to a child this holiday season.
Hey, Lillian! Tell us why your school, Lillian Public School, decided to take part in Toy Mountain.
We've been doing our Toy Mountain since 2016, and this year, like every year, we always try to instill in our students how to be kind and caring. So what better way to show our kindness and caring by bringing in toys for all those who need toys.
Wow. And so that's a number of years. Why did the school decide to start to do this?
As teachers, we see so many families struggling, and we know what the financial difficulties are, especially during this season. So we want to try to make it better for them and to help them out.
Darcy, here we are at another school. Does it get any better than this?
You know, every school we've been to, it's amazing what they do. They've all done unique things to collect the toys and the posters that they've made. I'm so impressed with the children that we've met on these school visits, and I'm very impressed with the students at Lillian.
Yeah, so we said, hey, Lillian, when we came in. I'm saying, hey, Aaron, once again, I'm just blown away.
Just so blown away. I mean, even when we walked in here, there's a big banner that says Toy Mountain and CTV and the Salvation Army. And we have seen some of these banners at the schools that we've visited, and they're hung up in our Toy Mountain headquarters, our Ontario Distribution Center, for all of our volunteers to see. And they know that children and students in the community are making such a difference. So we're thrilled.
How do you feel now that you're hearing from the folks that are really spearheading this campaign?
Wonderful. It's just such a great feeling to be able to help others. It's just so important.
Did you bring any toys in for Toy Mountain?
Yes.
What's the best thing about Christmas?
Everything.
Everything? You're right. So here we are, we're here at your school. We see the mountain of toys, we see the posters, we see the spirit that the Lillian Lynx have. Why did you want to take part in Toy Mountain?
Because I wanted to take part in Toy Mountain because I wanted little kids, kids to feel happy on the holidays with the toy under the Christmas tree.
Because I wanted kids to feel happy on Christmas Day.
If you don't have a toy and you're really young and you can't afford it, it won't feel good.
Like, I feel happy for the families that can't afford them, so everyone can be happy.
I think it's kind for people that we are getting toys for them and that people don't have money.
Thank you for
Absolutely adorable. And you can still donate. You can go online or text 30333. Text the word toys. It is a okay night ahead of us. We're holding on still just above that seasonal point. Some cloud cover out there. Winds are fairly moderate. So if you wanted to get out this evening, it's not a challenging evening, at least when it comes to the weather. We're sitting at 4 degrees here in the city, relatively mild again for this time of year, but as we head in towards tomorrow night, things start to shift just a little. We are watching for periods of snow late morning into that early point of our afternoon, so keep that in mind. And then as we head in towards your Thursday, your Friday, your Saturday, it gets cold as we officially welcome in the winter season on Saturday.
Welcome, winter. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but you can join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a great night.